Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar session on the top 5 changes between Lexis and Lexis Plus. So when you initially sign online to Lexis Plus, one of the first changes is the research doc here on the side. Now with Lexis Plus, if you do case law or statute-based research, you'll want to click on legal research, and then you can put your search terms into the main search box. You've got your filtering options here. And then you also have explore content down here at the bottom. If we go back to the doc, you now have practical guidance. So let's say if you don't do traditional research, maybe your task was looking up sample forms, checklists, clauses, articles, items of that sort, then practical guidance is the module that you'll want to select to then get your research started. Third, we have litigation analytics. If you do any type of work in the federal district courts, this is a great tool if you want to get profiles on courts, judges, attorneys, and we'll go into that further in more detail. Next, you have brief analysis. What's great about brief analysis is this allows you to upload a brief onto the system. It'll provide you with case law recommendation. It'll double check quotes. It'll recommend similar briefs and give you a list of citations. And then next, we have Legal News Hub. Legal News Hub is where you can find Law 360 content. If you're not familiar with Law 360, this is the legal publisher that gives you the top 5 or so stories of the day for different jurisdictions as well as practice areas. You can also set up newsletters within Law 360 through Legal News Hub. The second major change is, let's say if you're not very good with connectors, we've added a particular feature that will do the connector searching for you. So if I come in here, just put in a very generic search. And keep in mind, this is someone who's not very good with connectors. So that's also why I'm going so generic. So we did bankruptcy and restructuring. We narrowed it down to Delaware. And so now when we are brought to our results page, you'll notice that there's a widget here at the top. If you click on this widget, this is going to provide the connector assistance for us. So I can see overall there's 197 documents where these 2 terms are mentioned. If I come down here, if I want to see those 2 terms within the same sentence, this narrows it down to 53 results. If I want to see these 2 terms within the same paragraph, this narrows it down to 80 results. And so I can click on either hyperlink that I would like to, and it applies the connector for us. That takes away the headache of whether or not you put the connector in correctly because the system does that work for you. Next, we're going to touch on practical guidance. So with practical guidance, there's a couple of ways of how you can search in here. You've got your main search box. Once again, this will only search through practice notes, templates, clauses, articles, and checklists. You can also select your filtering options here. The second way of searching is to come down to our practice areas. So you can click on the practice area that you're in. Once you're in the practice area of your choosing, you can plug your terms into the search box. If you run a search in here as an example, it's already tailored towards civil litigation. Next, you've got your topics and tasks. So you can click on any topic, and then you can access your practice notes, templates, checklists, etc. You can also narrow down by any content type that you've selected at the top to quickly narrow it down by jurisdiction and/or task. Another thing to point out about the practical guidance is we also offer resource kits. What's nice about resource kits is we have them for every practice area. They're essentially one page that houses all your content on a particular task within a practice area for you. This is great for newer attorneys. This is also great for seasoned attorneys where maybe you just need a refresher on a particular task. And so you can go in here, you can narrow the resource kits down to jurisdiction of your choosing. And so let's say if I want to find everything on e-discovery for Ohio, You can see that there's 19 practice notes, 13 forms, clauses, and checklists, and 2 statutes and legislation. This is written by practitioners such as yourselves. Very user friendly, and you can click on the applicable links to take you out to the content type that you would like to explore. Another notable mention about practical guidance is our state law comparison tool. This is great for people that don't do a whole lot of traditional research, or people that do traditional research, but want to find answers on primary law across multiple jurisdictions. So for example, we can select our practice area here. We can then select the applicable topic. I'm going to do commencing a civil action under the practice area civil litigation. Next, I'm going to select the applicable jurisdictions and continue. And then I can select all the questions that I want to know as it pertains to commencing a civil action, or I can select all up here at the top. Hit download report. And you can download these reports into Word, Excel, or PDF. Once you've downloaded a report, you're first brought to your table of contents, where you have your questions, your applicable jurisdictions. Once you get past the table of contents, it takes you straight into your questions. So you've got your initial question up here at the top, your jurisdiction, and then the rules that answer that, including hyperlinks if you want to see those rules in fuller context. So that is state law comparison tool. There are also other added tools within practical guidance, and those are going to be listed here on the side. You can also click view all. Next, let's touch on litigation analytics. So once again, this is where you want to go if you want to get profilings on courts, judges, attorneys, or law firms that have federal district court action. So you can either search for one entity in the search box, or you can compare different entities. So you can compare courts and judges. You can also compare counsel, and you can compare 2 to 4 entities at one time. For this example, we're just going to look up the firm. And so there's a federal tab as well as a state tab. And so once you have navigated to the firm of your choosing, you can get an idea of the cases by practice area. So we've got open, terminated, and then total. If I were to click on the hyperlinks of any of these numbers, this will take us out to a case list. If I scroll further down, I can get an idea of the workload for the firm. I can also find out the different courts that this firm is normally in front of. I can find out who the major clients are, which side the firm is normally representing in court. And then we have time to key events. So key events will consist of motion to dismissive, summary judgment, trial, termination. And this is giving us averages of how long it takes for either these motions to be decided on, or for it to get through trial, or for our cases to get terminated. So you've got 3 numbers. So you've got the earliest time, the average time, and about the latest time it takes. What's great about the time to key events is this allows you to decide how much time, which will equate into how much money your case will have to cost before you ever get the case going through the court with the particular sitting judge. And then lastly, we have damages. And so this is just kind of an idea of what you can get when you're looking up one entity at one time. Just want to mention again that you can look up multiple entities You can do the compare courts and judges or the compare counsel. We briefly touched on brief analysis. Just to reiterate, you can upload one brief or multiple briefs on here. This is great if you want to get case law recommendations based off the language in your brief. You can also check out opposing counsel's information, make sure that the quotes are cited to correctly, as well as see if there's any case law recommendations based off what they've uploaded. Maybe there's something that they've missed that could assist you in court. And then last, we have Legal News Hub, which is where Law 360 is housed. You've got your major top stories here. You've got different entities up here at the top. If I select more, you can find a more exhaustive list. And if you click on any of these, you can also do subscribe to newsletter if you want to start receiving your Law 360 news by email. So that's a quick rundown of the top 5 changes from Lexis to Lexis Plus. Thank you for listening to this webinar, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.